Hi everyone, I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Denver, Colorado, and welcome back to All Up in Your Business. In this episode of All Up in Your Business, I'm going to break down the trademark issue that's currently going on between the country band formerly known as Lady Antebellum and the blues artist formerly and currently known as Lady A. But first, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check the description for links to additional information and resources and stuff if you are interested in securing your registered trademark so you can avoid potential trademark issues like Lady Antebellum and Lady A. Check out brand Bombshell, which is my all-inclusive trademark registration package. Or you can check out my DIY option, Brandish, which is an on-demand course that teaches you step-by-step how to prepare for and submit a trademark application to the USPTO without a lawyer. All right, so for those of you who don't already know, back in June, the popular country band Lady Antebellum decided to change their name to Lady A to get rid of the pre-Civil War association with the word antebellum. But as it turns out, there was already a musical artist, a woman named Anita Smith, who has been performing and using the name Lady A since 1987. After news came out about Lady Antebellum changing their name, it seems that Lady A requested a $10 million payment from Lady Antebellum. Now, this may seem like a lot, and certainly $10 million is a lot of money, but you really need to take into account what this would mean for Lady A. She either has to rebrand, change her name, change her stage and her performance name, which we presume she has built up a decent amount of recognition and goodwill since she's been using it since the 80s. So she either has to go back to the drawing board and rebrand, which wouldn't be inexpensive thing to do, or she has to deal with probably getting buried by this new Lady A. Now that Lady Antebellum is Lady A, all the people searching for Lady A will most likely come across Lady Antebellum before they find Lady A. So her options aren't that great. And then I believe also her plan, or what she said, was that she was going to donate a large portion of that $10 million to Black Lives Matters to help support other Black artists, because Lady A is a Black artist, and of course it sounds like is wanting to use this and the money in an effort to continue supporting other Black artists. Either way, whether it's rebranding or sticking with Lady A, for Lady A, it will be a lot of time and money invested in either scenario. So, again, when you think about the $10 million and how much money Lady Antebellum probably has, $10 million may not be that outrageous after all. But Lady Antebellum wasn't down with that $10 million payment idea. So instead, they filed a lawsuit against Lady A in court in Tennessee. Now, this lawsuit, the term lawsuit is a little misleading here, but technically that's what it is. They're not suing Lady A for money. They're not trying to get anything out of her. They're not even trying to get her to stop using the name. They're just seeking a judgment from the court to affirm their current rights in the Lady A name. So they're not really asking anything be done with regard to the initial Lady A. They're really just asking for a court to say, yep, you're good, your rights are valid. Basically something to kind of prevent Lady A from seeking some kind of, damages or some kind of infringement issue against them. And so what's interesting in this is that Lady Antebellum does actually already have a number of live, active federal trademark registrations for the name Lady A, which they applied for back in 2010, and I think most of them were registered in 2011. So if you're thinking that's the end of the story, Lady Antebellum has registered trademarks for Lady A. What else is there to do? If you're thinking that, I'm afraid you're thinking wrong, because that is just the beginning of the story. These trademark registrations, they create a really strong presumption that Lady Antebellum has valid and superior rights in the name Lady A. But like I said, it's a presumption, and that can be argued against. And so just because they have these registered trademarks doesn't mean that the fight is over. Again, this is only the beginning. Trademark rights in the United States are based on first use. Whoever uses the trademark in commerce first has superior rights, regardless of who filed first. Now, according to their trademark registrations, Lady Antebellum began using the name Lady A in 2006 when their band was actually started. They're saying in their application and in their registrations that they've been using the name Lady A since 2006. Anita White, however, claims to have been using the trademark Lady A since the 1980s. So if we're looking solely at dates, it would seem pretty clear that Lady A, Anita White, is the winner and has superior rights as they relate to Lady Antebellum's Lady A. But again, registration and dates are only the beginning. It does not even remotely end there. Before you have a federally registered trademark, you already have some trademark rights in the name, in the trademark. But those rights are typically limited to the geographic area where they've already been used, where the trademark has actually been used. Federal trademark registration essentially applies those rights to all of the states. But there are situations where there can be like a cutout of those rights because they belong to somebody else. So in other words, it could be that Lady A, Anita White, a Lady A, does have superior rights to the Lady A name, but only in certain areas, only in her geographic area, only in certain areas where she actually used the name. And the band's trademark, Lady Antebellum's Lady A trademark, would then apply to all of the other areas where Lady A's trademark does not. And like that might have been okay back in the day when people were purchasing physical records or had to actually go to a physical venue to hear live music. But shoot, I mean, we're in the 21st century. You can hear music from somebody on the other side of the world. You can see somebody perform live on the other side of the world. And so this whole idea of geographic rights, especially when we're talking about musical artists, music and performers, I don't know necessarily how much sense that geographic scope thing makes in this context. Because presumably Lady A, her music, her performances, the stuff she has created has been used all over the United States. There's also the question of why didn't Lady A take some steps to prevent or challenge Lady Antebellum's initial registration of the trademark Lady A. Part of the trademark registration process is that the pending registration has to be opposed or published for opposition before it will be registered to give the general public the ability to oppose this registration if they believe that their rights might be superior. That's exactly what this part of the process is for. And so theoretically, Lady A had at least 30 days back in 2010 to challenge or oppose Lady Antebellum's registration of that trademark. So the question arises why she didn't do that if now she's saying that the Lady A trademark is so important to her. So at this stage, it sounds like Lady Antebellum, the band, is trying to coexist with Lady A. Essentially, that's what they're doing by filing this lawsuit. They're trying to get, a court affirmation that their rights are valid and exist. But again, that wouldn't do anything with regard to Lady A's rights in the name. So essentially, it sounds like their goal is to find some way to coexist and for both artists to use Lady A in harmony without issue. And so if the court agrees with Lady Antebellum and does give this judgment affirming their trademark rights, then that's essentially what the two parties are going to have to do, is now figure out a way to coexist without the general public, i.e. the fans, getting confused. On its face, this, to me at least, sounds kind of ridiculous. The names are identical. How in the world could they not be confused? How could fans not get the two of them confused? Well, that's actually a part of the band's argument, is that they have been presumably coexisting just fine since 2006. They say that the band has been using Lady Antebellum and Lady A interchangeably since as early as 2006. So it would lead you to believe that for at least, the last 14 years, both bands, both artists, which go by Lady A to some extent, have been coexisting this whole time without issues, so they could continue on doing so. You guys know how I like to say every situation is different? Well, the same applies here. Every situation is different. Every little detail when we're talking about trademarks makes a difference. There's almost never a clear black and white answer when we're talking about trademarks or trademark infringement or trademark issues. Every little fact, every little detail makes a difference. Obviously, it's not just about trademark registration. We already know Lady Antebellum has a registered trademark for Lady A, but that's not enough. We also know that it's not just about the dates of first use. It's pretty obvious that Anita White, Lady A, has been using Lady A since way before Lady Antebellum did. She said she's been around since 1987. Lady Antebellum didn't start using the Lady A moniker until 2006. So date-wise, there's no question there. But again, that's not all that this is about. It's also about the use and recognition of Lady A by the band, Lady Antebellum. It's not enough if Lady Antebellum has just been using Lady A as like a nickname amongst themselves and kind of in the background since 2006. Nickname isn't the same thing as a trademark. So part of the issue here could be if Lady A really was a trademark of Lady Antebellum, or if it was more just kind of a nickname that they used amongst themselves or kind of quietly in the background. And the question then would arise if Lady A was commonly known as a nickname for Lady Antebellum, or if they used Lady A on promotions or marketing, or if Lady A was actually, put out there in the public as a nickname for Lady Antebellum versus maybe just being their own kind of nickname for Lady Antebellum. It's also a little bit of a popularity contest too. The fame and recognition of a trademark can also play a major factor in these kinds of disputes. Up until now, it doesn't really look like there was a big issue or problem with confusion among fans of the two artists. But is that only because Lady Antebellum fans knew them as Lady Antebellum rather than Lady A? If all of their fans were searching for Lady Antebellum online and on streaming services, then of course there's not going to be much confusion because people are looking for Lady Antebellum. But now that they're actually going by Lady A and their fans are going to be searching more for Lady A, that's probably going to cause some more confusion than there was initially. It also kind of depends on what each party knew or didn't know. There's this idea in the trademark world, kind of like if you don't use it, you lose it. Essentially, if you don't take steps to enforce or uphold your trademark rights, then you can potentially lessen or damage them. So if you know of another party who's infringing on your trademark, if you don't do anything about it, then that can weaken your trademark rights. So there may be a question of why Lady A didn't take steps to enforce her trademark rights initially when Lady Antebellum first filed these trademark applications in 2010, and or why she hasn't done anything in the 10 years since then? And has that had some impact on whatever trademark rights she has currently? Also, when you apply for a registered trademark through the USPTO, you are affirming that as far as you know, and to the best of your knowledge, nobody else has conflicting or superior trademark rights. So you're promising on the application that to the best of your knowledge, nobody has conflicting rights with your trademark. So then the question comes up of, did Lady Antebellum know of Lady A back when they filed their trademark applications initially in 2010? And if they did, was it improper for them to file those applications to begin with? That could certainly make a big difference as well. So what's going to happen from here? We don't really know. There are a number of potential outcomes that could come from this. I think it's pretty clear that Lady A, the original Lady A, has some level of higher and priority rights in the name, even if they're somewhat limited. So perhaps a resolution is that both parties can continue using Lady A and both have rights to the name Lady A, except they are in, different areas. So Anita White, Lady A, she rules the land in the Pacific Northwest, whereas Lady A, Lady Antebellum, they get the rest of the United States. That could be one potential outcome. It's also a potential outcome that they could go to court and it could be decided that Lady A, the original Lady A, has rights in every state, and therefore Lady Antebellum has no rights to use Lady A, and they have to go back to the drawing board and change things all over again. I seriously doubt that it would turn out that Lady A, the original Lady A, has to stop using her name altogether, unless there was some private agreement between the two parties where they came to that conclusion. I can't see any situation where a court or a governing body would order that Lady A doesn't have any rights in the name. I seriously doubt that will happen. More likely is that there will end up being some kind of coexistence between the two of them. Basically, neither party gets any kind of affirmation in the good way or the bad way. So nobody gets any confirmation that yes, your rights are better, yes, your rights are better. It's kind of just left to their own devices, and they have to come to some agreement between themselves. In light of the current climate, we're seeing a lot of issues coming up related to racism and inequality and everything. I think in light of that, the backlash against Lady Antebellum for all this could ultimately be the deciding factor. If they're trying to silence or take away the name of Lady A, who is a Black woman, that would probably reflect poorly on them if the whole point of this name change was to get rid of this, racial undertone of the word antebellum itself. That wouldn't jive very well, in my opinion. I don't think, if they're doing this in support of Black people, but then doing this thing which could seriously damage a Black artist. I think that backlash would probably, work against them much more than never changing the name in the first place. So I'm guessing they will find some way to minimize the negative outcome for Lady Antebellum to avoid, this kind of negative publicity. So if I had to guess, I would guess ultimately that Lady Antebellum will end up cutting a big fat check to Lady A, or that Lady Antebellum will go back to the drawing board and decide on some other name aside from Lady A. Or in one way or another, ultimately come to some conclusion that doesn't just completely take down Lady A. I think they're going to have to concede a little bit and give something to Lady A, just kind of to save face through this whole situation too. So that's all for this episode, folks. To summarize, I guess trademarks are difficult. Talk to a trademark lawyer before you file applications for trademarks or before you rebrand. Talk to a trademark lawyer if you want to make sure your trademarks are secure. I think ultimately that's the moral of this story. But then really the moral is that trademarks are so cool and so interesting, and all of us should be talking about them some more. Anyway, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Again, don't forget to check the description for additional information and resources, or if you would like help securing your own trademark registration as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time.